The call from Naval Medical Center San Diego came through at 1,647 hours on a Thursday. I was in the ICU observation room, waiting for clearance to see my swim buddy who'd taken shrapnel in a training accident. My phone buzzed twice. Base number. Then my father's contact lit up my screen, not with concern, but with a text that made my blood go cold. Ashley's wedding venue needs the deposit by Friday. We moved $18,000 from your savings to cover it. You understand. Not a question. A statement. Behind that text was a screenshot, my sister on a yacht in Marina del Rey, champagne glass raised, caption reading, "When your family actually shows up for you, clinking glasses sparkles, #blessed, #family first." I was in hospital scrubs. I hadn't slept in 31 hours. My last meal was a protein bar from a vending machine. I opened my banking app, clicked twice, changed my emergency contact from Mom to my platoon commander. Then I called the Navy Federal Fraud Line. My voice was steady when I said, "I need to report unauthorized access to my account." That was the moment everything changed, whether my family was ready or not. The fluorescent lights in the hospital corridor buzzed with a frequency that matched my headache. My boots squeaked against linoleum that smelled like industrial cleaner and anxiety. Through the observation window, I could see Marcus hooked up to monitors, chest rising and falling in sedated rhythm. His dress blues hung in a plastic garment bag on the back of the door, ready for the promotion ceremony he'd miss by 3 weeks. I was supposed to be his person. The one who showed up. That's what I'd always been. The reliable one. My phone vibrated again. This time it was my mother. "Lena, your father told me you called the bank? There's been a misunderstanding. Call me when you're free." Free. I'd been in the Navy for 9 years. Made lieutenant 2 years ago. Earned my SEAL qualification after 23 months of training that broke 60% of candidates. I could navigate by stars, treat a sucking chest wound, and breach a door in under 4 seconds. But I was never free to my family. I was available. I grew up in Coronado, close enough to the base that I could hear the helicopters during dinner. My father sold real estate. My mother taught piano lessons in our living room. Ashley was born when I was 6, unexpected, adored, the child they'd actually planned for once they had their lives together. I was the prototype. She was the production model. When I was 12, I asked for gymnastics lessons. My mother said we couldn't afford it. When Ashley was 12, she got a studio membership, private coaching, and a trip to nationals. When I joined ROTC in high school, my father said, "That's very practical, Lena. You've always been so independent." When Ashley joined theater, they attended every performance. Took photos. Cried during curtain call. I learned early, independence was code for invisible. So I stopped asking. I got scholarships. I worked part-time at a surf shop, then as a lifeguard, then as a private security escort for tourists who wanted to feel safe in Tijuana. I saved everything. I enlisted the day after graduation, degree already in progress through night classes. And I kept saving. By the time I made lieutenant, I had $127,000 in my primary savings account. Another $48,000 in a Roth IRA. No debt. No cosigners. No one on my accounts except me. Or so I thought. I sat in the hospital cafeteria with my phone on airplane mode and a cup of coffee I didn't drink. The base legal office didn't open until 0800 the next morning. The fraud line had flagged the transaction, but couldn't reverse it without my written statement. I needed to think. I opened my banking app again. Scrolled back. The first transfer was small. $200, 6 months ago. Memo, Mom emergency. I'd forgotten about it. She'd said the water heater died. I'd authorized it over text, told her to pull whatever she needed. Then $500. Car repair. Then $1,200. Property tax shortage. Then $3,000. Medical bills. Then yesterday, $18,000. No memo. I clicked into account settings. Under authorized users, I saw my mother's name. Added April 14, 2019, 5 years ago. I remembered that day. I'd been in the hospital after a parachute malfunction. Fractured vertebrae, concussion, temporary loss of sensation in my left leg. I'd signed a medical power of attorney so someone could make decisions if I went into surgery. She must have added herself to my bank account while I was sedated. I checked my credit report. Clean. No loans, no inquiries, no fraud. Just my own accounts, my own history, my own perfect score. But my savings were gone. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a system. I didn't call my mother back that night. Instead, I walked to the base chapel, not because I'm religious, but because it was the only place that stayed unlocked and quiet after 2100. I sat in the back pew under a stained glass window that threw blue and red shadows across my hands. My mind ran scenarios the way I'd been trained: assess, adapt, act. I could confront them. They'd cry, apologize, promise to pay it back. They wouldn't. I'd feel guilty for making them feel bad. The money would disappear into Ashley's wedding, her honeymoon, her down payment. I'd be expected to smile in photos. Or I could treat this like an op. Gather intelligence. Identify assets. Secure the perimeter. Execute. I pulled out my phone and opened my notes app. Started a new file, family audit. Then I began documenting everything. At 0800 the next morning, I walked into the base legal assistance office. The JAG attorney was a lieutenant commander named Ortiz, sharp eyes, wedding ring, coffee mug that said, "I'm not arguing, I'm explaining why I'm right." I handed her a printed timeline. She read it in silence. Then she looked up. "You're saying your mother added herself to your account without verbal consent?" I was on morphine. I signed a medical POA, not a financial one. "Do you have proof of what you signed?" I slid a second document across the desk. I'd requested my medical records at 0600 that morning. The POA was in the file, healthcare decisions only, time limited, expired after 30 days. Ortiz leaned back in her chair. "This is legally gray. She had physical access, you were incapacitated, and you didn't remove her afterward. A bank would say you ratified it by inaction. So I have no recourse." I didn't say that. She tapped the timeline. "You document every transfer. You show a pattern of small, explained transactions followed by a massive, unexplained one. You file a dispute. You remove her access. You make it clear in writing that you did not authorize the $18,000. The bank might not refund you, but you'll have a paper trail. And if they do this again, if they try to open credit, take loans, or forge signatures, you'll have evidence of prior bad acts." She looked at me the way commanders look at you before a hard op. "But here's the real question, Lieutenant. What do you actually want?" I thought about Ashley on that yacht. My parents at her engagement party, which I'd missed because I was in Djibouti. The last family dinner I'd attended, where my mother spent 40 minutes showing me photos of Ashley's ring and 0 minutes asking about my last deployment. "I want them to understand what they did," I said. Ortiz nodded. "Then you need to stop protecting them from the consequences." I spent the weekend in my studio apartment on base, door locked, phone on do not disturb. I built a spreadsheet. Every transfer. Every text. Every time they'd said, "You'll be fine," or "You're so strong," or "Ashley really needs this." The data was ugly. Over 5 years, they'd taken $43,000. Not borrowed. Taken. Because borrowing implies intention to return. On Sunday night, my father called 6 times. I let it go to voicemail. On the 6th call, he left a message. "Lena, this is ridiculous. We're family. Your mother is hurt that you're treating her like a criminal. We've always been there for you, and this is how you repay us? Ashley is crying. She thinks you hate her. Call us back so we can talk about this like adults." I saved the voicemail. Then I called Navy Federal back and formally requested removal of my mother's account access and a written dispute of the $18,000 transfer. The representative said, "We'll need a notarized affidavit stating you did not authorize this transaction." Where's the nearest notary? Base Legal or any UPS store. I was at UPS in 20 minutes. The next morning, my mother tried a different approach. She texted me a photo of Ashley in her wedding dress, first fitting, veil pinned, eyes red. "She's heartbroken, Lena. She thought you'd be happy for her. We only used the money because we knew you'd want to help, and we didn't want to burden you with the ask. You've always been the strong one. You don't need things the way she does." I read it 3 times. Then I replied, "I'm an adult with financial autonomy. Taking money without asking isn't help. It's theft." Her response came in under a minute. "How dare you? After everything we've done for you." I didn't answer. Instead, I screenshotted the exchange and added it to the file. By Tuesday, the family network activated. My Aunt Linda, my mother's sister, sent me a long Facebook message about forgiveness and grace. How family is forever. How I was being selfish. How my mother was devastated and couldn't stop crying. Then my Uncle Paul called. He was calm, rational, the family mediator. "Lena, I know you're upset. But you're a military officer. You're trained to stay calm under pressure. Your mom made a mistake. She's human. Don't throw away your family over money. Would you let someone take $18,000 from your account without asking?" I said. Pause. That's different. How? Because you don't have kids. You don't understand the pressure. I hung up. Then came the pastor. My family attended a mega church in Chula Vista, big screens, rock band, coffee bar in the lobby. I'd gone occasionally when I was home on leave, mostly to make my mother happy. The pastor, a man named David who wore skinny jeans and quoted C.S. Lewis, sent me an email. Subject, concerned for you. Lena, your mother reached out to me in tears. She's worried about your soul. Unforgiveness is a poison. The Bible tells us to honor our parents and to bear one another's burdens. I'd love to meet with you and your family to facilitate healing. Let me know when you're available. I didn't respond, but I screenshotted it. Because that's when I realized they weren't trying to apologize. They were building a narrative. Lena is angry. Lena is cold. Lena has changed. They were making me the villain so they didn't have to be. On Thursday, Ashley posted on Instagram. It was a photo of her and my mother, heads together, both crying. The caption. When you realize not everyone is happy for your happiness. Family is supposed to show up for you, but some people only show up when it's convenient. Praying for peace. Broken heart, folded hands, hashtag family hurts, hashtag choosing joy. She tagged me. The comments came fast. Stay strong, babe. You deserve people who celebrate you. Blood doesn't mean loyalty. One of her friends commented, wait, is this about your sister? The Navy one? Ashley replied, I don't want to get into it. Just hurts. I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I opened my laptop and started a new document. I didn't post it right away. First, I needed one more piece. On Friday, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered. Ms. Marchetti? This is Lena from Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. I'm calling because we haven't received your co-signed payment for account ending in 4772. Your mother listed you as a co-borrower on a home equity line of credit opened in March of this year. The first payment was due May 1st. It's now June 10th and the account is 30 days past due. My stomach dropped. I didn't co-sign anything. Pause. Ma'am, I'm showing an application with your social security number, date of birth, and employment information. It was submitted online and electronically signed. I didn't sign it. Would you like me to email you a copy of the application? Yes. Immediately. I hung up and called Ortiz. The application arrived in my inbox 6 minutes later. I opened it with shaking hands. There was my name, my social, my rank, my income, estimated high, probably pulled from a pay stub I'd once sent my mother to prove I was doing fine. And there, at the bottom, was a digital signature that looked nothing like mine. The loan amount, $75,000. I forwarded it to Ortiz with a 2-word email. Is this fraud? She called me in 3 minutes. Yes, this is identity theft. You need to file a police report and a Federal Trade Commission complaint immediately. Then you need to freeze your credit and dispute the loan with Wells Fargo. What happens to my parents? Her voice was careful. If you file a report, law enforcement will investigate. If they find evidence of fraud, your mother could face criminal charges. I closed my eyes. Lieutenant, Ortiz said quietly. I know this is hard. But if you don't report this, you'll be legally responsible for a $75,000 loan you didn't take. They've escalated. This isn't about a wedding deposit anymore. This is about your financial future. Okay, I said. Walk me through it. I filed the police report on Saturday morning at the Coronado Police Department. The officer taking my statement was professional, detached. He asked if I wanted to press charges. I want to report the fraud, I said. What happens after that is up to the investigation. He nodded and handed me a case number. Then I went to the base legal office and met with Ortiz again. She helped me file a complaint with the FTC, freeze my credit with all 3 bureaus, and draft a dispute letter to Wells Fargo. Now, she said, you need to decide how you want to handle your family. I don't want to talk to them. You don't have to. But they will escalate. People who do this don't stop when caught. They double down. You need to be ready. I nodded. She handed me a single piece of paper. This is a cease and desist template. If they contact you, if they show up at your home, if they harass you online, you send this. If they violate it, you file for a restraining order. I folded it and put it in my bag. I didn't tell them about the police report. I didn't call, didn't text, didn't explain. I just disappeared. Blocked my parents' numbers. Blocked Ashley. Blocked the extended family members who'd messaged me. I made my social media private, removed tags, turned off notifications. And then I waited. It took 4 days. On Wednesday, my father showed up at the base gate. He didn't have a visitor pass, so the guard called me. Ma'am, there's a Mr. Gerald Marchetti here to see you. He says he's your father. Tell him I'm unavailable. He's asking me to tell you it's an emergency. It's not. Please ask him to leave. There was a pause. I could hear my father's voice in the background rising. The guard came back on. Ma'am, he's refusing to leave. He's saying you're in danger and he needs to do a welfare check. I felt my jaw tighten. Tell him I'm an active duty officer and I'm fine. If he doesn't leave, he'll be escorted off base. Another pause. Then, understood, ma'am. He's leaving now. I hung up and immediately sent a text to Ortiz. Father attempted base access. Refused to leave until threatened with removal. She replied in seconds, documented. If he tries again, file a report with base security. That night, my mother posted on Facebook. It was a long, rambling essay about heartbreak and betrayal. She didn't name me, but she didn't have to. When you raise a child to be strong, sometimes they forget how to be soft. When you give everything, sometimes they forget how to be grateful. I'm watching my daughter destroy her family over money, and I'm praying she finds her way back before it's too late. If you're reading this and you have adult children, hug them. Tell them you love them. Because one day they might not believe you anymore. The post had 214 likes and 48 comments within an hour. Most were supportive. Praying for you, Linda. Adult children can be so cruel. Money changes people. But 3 comments stood out. One from a woman I didn't know. Info. Did you take money from her account without asking? One from my high school best friend, Jade, who I hadn't spoken to in 3 years. This is wild. Lena is the most giving person I know. What actually happened? And one from my father's business partner, Mark. Linda, we need to talk. Call me. I screenshotted all of it. Then I opened a new document and began to write. I posted it the next morning at 0600. It was calm. It was factual. It was devastating. To everyone who has reached out with concern, I appreciate it. Here's what happened. Over the past 5 years, my mother removed $43,000 from my savings account without my consent. This includes an $18,000 transfer 2 weeks ago that I discovered while sitting in a hospital waiting room. I did not authorize these transfers. I was added to my account as an authorized user while I was sedated in a hospital in 2019. I have since removed her access and filed disputes. Last week, I learned that someone used my personal information to open a $75,000 home equity line of credit in my name. I did not apply for this loan. I have filed a police report and an identity theft complaint with the FTC. I'm sharing this not for sympathy, but for clarity. I've been accused of being ungrateful, cold, and selfish. I've been told I'm destroying my family over money. I want to be clear, I'm protecting myself from financial fraud. I love my family. But love does not mean giving people unlimited access to harm you. I will not be responding to public posts, private messages, or attempts to fix this through third parties. I've set boundaries, and I'm enforcing them. If you've experienced something similar, I see you. You're not selfish for protecting yourself. You're not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. I attached 3 images. A redacted bank statement showing the $18,000 transfer. A redacted timeline of transfers over 5 years. A screenshot of the Wells Fargo loan application with my name and forged signature. Then I posted it to Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I logged off. The fallout was immediate. Within an hour, my mother's post was deleted. My father called me 19 times. Ashley sent a long, frantic text. Lena, what the fuck? You just destroyed Mom. She's having a panic attack. Dad is talking about suing you for defamation. You need to take that down now. I don't know what they did, but this is not how you handle family problems. You've embarrassed all of us. I didn't respond. But Jade did. She commented on my post. I've known Lena since we were 14. She paid for her own prom dress, her own car, her own college. If she says this happened, it happened. Believe survivors. Then my father's business partner, Mark, sent me a private message. Lena, I'm sorry. Your dad borrowed $30,000 from me last year and said it was for a medical emergency. He never paid it back. I didn't push because I thought he was struggling. Now I'm wondering if that was true. I believe you. Then my former platoon leader, Commander Hayes, shared my post with a single sentence. This is what integrity looks like. Protect your people, even from family. And then the tide turned. By the end of the day, my mother had deactivated her Facebook. My father's real estate page had 15 one-star reviews, all referencing financial dishonesty. Ashley's Instagram comments were flooded with questions she couldn't answer. I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. But I also felt something else. Free. My mother requested a meeting through my Aunt Linda, who sent a carefully worded email. Your mother wants to apologize in person. She's willing to meet wherever you feel comfortable. She's seeing a therapist. She knows she hurt you. I didn't respond to Linda. I responded to my mother directly, using the email address I hadn't blocked. I'll meet you once. Public location. No one else. Here are my conditions. You bring documentation of every transfer and a written plan to repay me. You do not justify, minimize, or blame me. You answer my questions honestly. If you can't agree to these terms, there's nothing to discuss. She replied 2 hours later, agreed. When? I chose a Starbucks near the base. Neutral ground. Security cameras. Witnesses. We met on a Tuesday at 1400. She looked smaller than I remembered. Her hair was grayer. She wore a cardigan even though it was 78 degrees outside. She'd brought a folder. I sat down across from her with my phone on the table, recording app open. I'm recording this, I said. She flinched but nodded. I didn't wait for her to speak. How much of the $43,000 do you still have? She opened the folder. Her hands shook. None of it. It went to Ashley's wedding, the down payment on her condo, your father's business debt, and the home equity loan. She closed her eyes. Yes. Why? Because we were drowning. Your father's business hasn't been profitable in 3 years. We're behind on the mortgage. We owe the IRS $22,000. Ashley was going to have to cancel her wedding or go into debt, and I couldn't. Her voice cracked. I couldn't let her start her life that way. So you destroyed mine instead. She looked up, tears streaming. You've always been fine, Lena. You've never needed help. You've never needed us. There it was. The core belief. I leaned forward. Do you know what I'm proud of from the last year? She blinked. What? I'm asking you. Tell me one thing I accomplished in the last year that you're proud of. Silence. I made lieutenant commander, I said quietly. I led a joint task force in the Persian Gulf. I published a tactical paper that's now used in SEAL training. I saved a sailor's life during a training accident. I ran a marathon. I bought a house. Her face crumpled. You didn't know any of that, I said. Because you never asked. You decided I didn't need you, so you stopped seeing me. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what, specifically? She looked down at the table. For taking your money. For the loan. For not asking. What else? I don't. For not showing up, I said. For making me the strong one so you didn't have to feel guilty for giving Ashley everything. For treating my success like it was inevitable instead of earned. For making me small so she could feel big. She was sobbing now. I didn't comfort her. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to contact Wells Fargo and admit you committed fraud. You're going to work with the police investigation. You're going to set up a payment plan to repay me, even if it takes 10 years. You're going to stop talking about me on social media. You're going to stop using family members to contact me. And you're going to go to therapy. Okay, she choked out. I don't know if we'll have a relationship after this, I said. But if we do, it won't be the one we had. I'm not the strong one who doesn't need anything. I'm your daughter. And you have to decide if you're willing to see me. She nodded, mascara streaking her face. I stood up. I'll send you the payment plan details. Don't contact me unless it's about that. And I walked out. 3 months later, Wells Fargo removed the loan from my credit report. The police investigation resulted in a plea deal. My mother pled guilty to identity theft and was sentenced to probation, restitution, and community service. No jail time. My father refinanced their house and set up automatic payments to my account, $500 a month for the next 7 years. Ashley sent me one text. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't respond. But I didn't block her either. I bought a condo in Carlsbad with an ocean view. I adopted a dog, a German Shepherd named Radar. I got promoted to lieutenant commander 6 months ahead of schedule. I started seeing a therapist who specialized in family trauma. She told me something that stuck. You can't control whether they change. You can only control whether you stay. So I didn't stay. I built a new life. I found my people, the ones who showed up without being asked. Who celebrated my wins. Who didn't mistake my strength for not needing love. Commander Hayes invited me to her daughter's graduation. Jade flew out to visit, and we spent a weekend surfing like we were 17 again. My swim buddy Marcus, recovered and promoted, became my emergency contact. I hosted Thanksgiving at my place. It was small. It was chosen. It was mine. My mother sent me a card on my birthday. It said, "I'm proud of you." I should have said it more. I didn't respond. But I kept the card. Here's what I learned. Family isn't a free pass to harm you. Forgiveness isn't the same as reconciliation. You can love people from a distance. And sometimes, the people who say you're too strong are really saying they don't want to be held accountable. I don't regret what I did. I regret that it had to happen at all. But I'm not the reliable one anymore. I'm not the one who's fine. I'm the one who knows what I'm worth. And I'm the one who won't settle for being invisible. Love without respect isn't love. It's obligation. And I'm done with obligations. If you've ever been the strong one, the one who doesn't need things, the family ATM, the invisible daughter, I see you. You're not selfish for setting boundaries. You're not cold for protecting yourself. You're not the villain in someone else's guilt story. You're allowed to choose yourself. So here's my question for you. Have you ever been expected to just deal with it because you're the capable one? What did you do? Drop your story in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if this story resonated with you, if you've been the reliable one who finally said no, subscribe. Because there are more stories like this, and you deserve to know you're not alone. Thanks for listening. This is Revenge Cafe.